I am really honored tonight, this next segment. For many years, this man has been a mentor to me. I'm grateful to have my friend Eddie Staub with us tonight. Eddie is the founder of Eagle Ranch and led it as an executive director for many years. He has invested in my life and many other people around the nation that do this kind of work with children and teens. And I asked him if he would be here tonight and just share a few minutes with us. And so I'm delighted that he chose to do that. And I'm going to bring up Eddie Staub now to share with us just a few minutes.
Well, it's good to be here. Do you think Steve plays pickleball or something? A little free advertising there. Well, it's good to be with y'all. I guess I met Steve, it's probably over 20 years ago, and I guess the homes were near the Dairy Queen. And I just so respect and appreciate your perseverance, Steve. I do this with a lot of leaders, and for someone to be doing this for 25 years is a real gift to this community. And my wife, Kayen's here. She's been with me at Eagle Ranch for all 40 years of its existence, and the wives sort of get overlooked. And Steve would say this, and I'll say this, I couldn't have done what I did without my wife walking this journey with me. So really appreciate you. One thing that struck me when I'm going off script a little, I understand brevity is important and you never have to apologize for brevity. So I'm going to be short, but when I was listening to Jessica on that video, you could see the pain in having to send her little girl to a place to be raised for a season of her life by someone else. And I'll never forget, we had this situation at Eagle Ranch. This mom dropped off her 12-year-old son to the ranch, and she went back to the car and was just sobbing. And our house mom went out there to her, and she looked at our house mom and said, "What kind of mother does this?" And in this moment, I know it was providential. Our house mom looked at this mother like Jessica and said, "The kind of mother who really loves her son." And so it's really a real act of courage for these parents to bring their children, but it's the greatest act of love for them to do that as well. And I think we never need to forget that. We're all walking wounded. Some of us hide it a little better than others. But if we were all honest, we would say we're just walking wounded, walking each other to eternity, right? So someone shared this metaphor for me, and I think it is so instructive, especially with regard to what's happening at Joy House. There's this metaphor of a river, and it said, and what it was describing is the different kinds of services for children in the river. So the river represents all the hurting kids, and there's different services like upstream, midstream, downstream. And different organizations say, we're an upstream organization. We're going to do counseling. Another one says, we're midstream. We're going to do foster care. Another one goes, we're downstream. We're going to do residential. And usually people just sort of stay in their part of the river. And they don't venture out of that river and say, we're just going to do this. And I get the focus issue. I understand that. But what I have really respected about Steve is that the Joy House isn't a paper tiger. I mean, there is substance to what they do. Like that residential is a 24/7 therapeutic blanket around those kids. It's not custodial, just feed and clothe and love them. And but it's counseling, it's education, it's modeling, it's family reunification. And I think at some level we go, do we really believe that God has given us this much time of that child's life to make a difference? And so we're either going to babysit that child and they'll leave us just a year older and not any different, or are we going to look at that as a sacred trust? And I can say that Stephen, I've worked with him for a lot of years, looks at that as a sacred trust. And then I think Andy used the word foresight, that Steve saw the foresight. Maybe we can catch things a little further upstream. And then they invest in counseling. And it comes at a cost because their services are perfectly, accessible to everybody. They're like us. We've never turned down a family in our residential or in our counseling because of money, ever. Some people have paid $5 a month. So I really want to say that as someone that's done this for a long time, that Steve and his team have invested, they're taking their stewardship of this mission seriously. And Riley sort of said this, is that the lives you touch, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Because the effects are generational. It never, ever stops with that child. So we had our 40th anniversary 2 weeks ago at the ranch, and all my kids, they came from all over the country to our campus. And this one boy came down from Virginia with his wife and his youngest son. They had 3 kids. And I'm going to tell you real quickly his story, and it's really illustrative of the impact one life can have on generations. So this boy's name is Aaron. His name is Aaron. I used to try to disguise it, and then I got mixed up with his name, and nobody knew what I was talking about. But Aaron came to us in 1985. Father had deserted the family. Mom was pretty limited, really struggling with some of her own emotional issues, and she had 2 other children. And Aaron was really giving her a run for her money. And she goes, I just need help. This kid comes to us, and we did a psychological to make sure we could handle him. And I'm going, I don't think we can handle this kid. Kayanne comes to me and says, you're taking this boy. So we ended up taking that. You remember? You're taking Aaron. I said, okay, I got to live with you. So, but Aaron comes, and the first year he came, I think when he was 13. First year he was there, he was in trouble every day. I'm going, I don't even know if we can hang on to this boy. I just don't know. He was getting suspended from school. I'd go pick him up, bring him back. It was just, but his junior year, things started to shift for him, and he started to sort of get it. And then he ended up graduating from high school, and then he went into military intelligence at Fort Huachuca in Arizona, graduated second in his class. A year later, he went to Fort Riley, Kansas, and scored a perfect score on his sergeant's board. And the military the Army sent him to Germany to monitor the Kosovo conflict. He was there 5 years. He got married, had 2 kids over there, and then the CIA recruited him. So he worked with the CIA for 5 years. Now, if I'd known when that little boy was 13 that he would one day be responsible for the security of our country, and trust me, you would not want to be here either. I couldn't get out of this country quick enough. But for 5 years, he was with the CIA. He was doing some real high-level counterterrorism work. And then a private company out of Virginia recruited him. He became a partner, and it's one of the largest outsourced relationships with the Department of Defense. That's Aaron's story. He's 46 now, I think. So anyway, he came down from Virginia with his wife, Michelle, and his youngest son, Connor. And they interviewed him. And they said, what is living at Eagle Ranch for 4 years? What does that mean to you? And he said, well, don't look at me. Look at my wife. Look at my son. And I'm about to be a grandfather. And he said, what Eagle Ranch has meant to me is evident in them. And there are a lot of stories like that at the Joy House. There are a lot of stories like that at Eagle Ranch. And I want to close with this. Someone asked me this one time. They said, Eddie, what would Northeast Georgia, the Northeast Georgia community be like if Eagle Ranch never existed? And I never thought about that. And I said, it wouldn't be good. And I think the same question can be asked of you. What if the Joy House never existed? Would you be okay with that? Because what happens for Steve and what happens for us is that we exist because a community of people have said it makes a difference that it's here. And we want to be part of it being here. We want to be part of those kind of stories. Because if you don't, it won't. So I would challenge you to just think about this area without a joy house. And I hope that you will join Steve and Wendy in making a difference. Thank you so much.